What's up, Sugaring community? This is SDC, also known as Fast Freddy. It's been a while since I've done a video. I've been going through some things personally, but hopefully I'm going to try to get back to it. So today I wanted to talk about the patriarchy, masculinity, femininity, and feminism, and how it relates to relationships. I think whether you're dating, whether you're married, whether you're sugaring, this is the foundation of the dynamics between, I'm going to say heterosexual men and women when it comes to relationships. So I think it's important that everyone kind of understands what we're dealing with, what the field looks like. I think a lot of people want to believe what they want to believe the ideal, want to believe what they see on TV, want to believe what their mom has taught them, what their religion has taught them, etc. And there is sort of an objective truth out there that's pervasive that we need to understand is the reality. It's not about fair. It's not about what you want. It's about what is. And in order to get what you want, you gotta understand what you're dealing with. So this topic kind of started off with me thinking, I have a son that's coming of age. He's about to hit puberty. I want to explain to him everything I've learned about relationships, all the missteps I've had, all the confusion, all the misconceptions, and where do I start? And honestly, this is the beginning. And I think it's going to seem a little bit abstract in the beginning, but this is the reality. This is how I see it. This is how everything started. So let's talk about human nature and the patriarchy. And so how did we get to where we're at, basically, with girls and dating and things like that, and hypergamy, polygamy, monogamy, all that stuff. So the reality is we are created by whatever. If you believe God, if you believe evolution, whatever, we were initially created, and there are some things that are just, we are, let's say, mammals, animals. There are things that are just in our nature, in our core. So men, for example, are more physical. Women are more nurturing, and we're here to reproduce, and that's a lot of the things that drive us. Survival is a base, so eating, being able to live, being safe, and then reproduction. That's a reality. These are base drives of a human, just as an animal, and it just happens that the Creator has bestowed different attributes to each sex, whether you want to keep that, whether you want to change your sex, or etc. Men are more physical, men are more visual, women are more emotional, women are more nurturing for whatever reason. Maybe that's for survival, maybe that's for reproduction and nurturing kids, etc., to continue our species. But this is the base. So if you think of us as animals, probably in the beginning we were running around doing this, fucking, killing each other, and just eating. Of course, we're also given a brain. So as time went on, we've evolved socially. We've evolved psychologically. I don't want to say physically, but let's say psychologically. The issue is we got to understand that when you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. So we are struggling with a lot of our socialized conceptions are struggling with a lot of our nature. And if you do that too much, nature versus nurture, my opinion is nature is stronger. It's subconscious. It's a drive. It's stronger. You can socialize certain parts of your nature out, but it is very difficult. And honestly, for a sustained period of time, you'll slip, or eventually you'll break if you go against your nature too much. And so these are our established natures. Now, men being more physical, in the end, what I believe is, when everything rational goes out the door, you revert to your base nature. So, for example, when men in politics, when all the talking and diplomacy don't work, we resort to our nature, which is fighting. You're going to see people punching each other. You're going to see wars happen. This is what happens. Women, when rationality goes out the window, and I'm not saying men aren't emotional, but they fall to their base, which is emotion. They get emotional, maybe even if you look at sugaring and things like that, when women, for example, cannot make money, that's why they start selling their commodities, which is maybe their body or what they have. They're falling back on what you always kind of cut back on your, go back to your nature, go back to what's your base when you get desperate. So because men have been just dominantly physical, we have established over hundreds and thousands of years of patriarchy. We are in the hot seat. So if you say, let's say there's a power struggle between women and men somehow, and there's always going to be a power struggle. Whenever there's a need, there's a power struggle somewhere. Someone has leverage. So if you think of the bigger picture, when cavemen were walking around, who's going to dominate? The more physical one, because you're falling to your base, right? And so let's say you were civilized, and then it's like the people who are in the end, when all that stuff conflicts, what's left is the person who's the biggest is going to win, or the smartest. And so in this case, men just happen to be bigger, so we established a patriarchy over hundreds and thousands of years. The issue here, so as men are the now dominant species, we're reproducing, we have, let's say, on one hand we're protecting our families, but we also have freedom and liberation to do things. We also have, throughout the patriarchy, have subjugated and objectified and dominated and subordinated what we feel are lower species. So for example, if you're dominant in race, which white people were, they're going to subjugate all the other races. So you have British colonizing people, you have white privilege. Same thing with sex. We as men have dominated, and we've taken advantage of it, and we've abused it. That's the reality. It's not about being fair. This is the reality. I'm not saying right or wrong. We have, let's say we're talking about relationships, men have abused women in the patriarchy, have taken advantage of our power, and we have abused women in relationships. So we'll have, we'll subjugate them, we won't keep them happy, because we didn't need to, we had all the power. Now, over the years, women have, I feel, used their brain, which is, men still love women. We still love our mothers, we love our wives, we love our sisters. So this is where feminism comes in, is a pendulum swing. It's like, you know what, we're in modernity, this is not fair. So women have started a war of the minds, and rightfully so. I'm not sitting here saying this is right. Again, I'm saying what it is. The reality, though, is as feminism was a pendulum swing, so it was based on masculinity, right? So it's like, okay, we want men are dominant, they have the power, so we want to be more like men, and that's what feminism fought for. And if you think of a pendulum swing and it swings too hard one way, it's going to go and kind of fuck things up before it comes back to balance. And so this is what I feel is happening, and I think is that femininity, in order to get power, it went the way of masculinity, and femininity sort of has been seen as weak, so women have erased femininity in order to gain power, and it's been successful. And again, I'm not sitting here saying women shouldn't have rights, women shouldn't be treated well or anything like that, but I'm saying there's this concept of fair but not equal, right? Women and men are not the same. People are not the same. You can still be fair without being exactly the same, whereas feminism, and understandably so, decided, we need to be as similar to men as possible. And not all feminist theories like that, but I think that is the simple kind of primitive understanding of feminism. We want to be equal, the same. And I know there's a lot of women who are like, no, that's not what we want, but that is what has happened. So there was an erasure of femininity, and this is what's affecting our relationships now, is that a sense that women want to be the same, but we're not the same. So there's responsibilities, there's feelings that women have that go against all the masculine progress that they made, because we're all realizing that it's going against the nature, our natures. And at a certain point, we have to understand that to live in a world where we're happy, not quote unquote fair or right, we got to understand what the reality is. And this is what's happening now. There's a opposite pendulum swing of alpha male, manosphere, MGTOW, all these things. There is a opposite reaction. 50% divorce rate. Women are depressed because they have to work and take care of things in the home. They're asking men to split 50-50, and men who are in power, in the position of power in a patriarchy, we can say yes, we can even think we're going to do it, but our base nature is always going to be like, eventually we're going to be like, no, we want to be the providers, we want to be the hunters, we want to, or we have a need to be that, or we want to mass produce, be polygamous, all these natural things that we're trying to basically put lipstick on a pig. And so that's the one thing we need to understand. We got to think there's these like pigs out there, we're like these animals out there wearing lipstick, pretending to be what we're not. Again, I'm not just saying we go back to being animals or anything like that, but what we got to do is be realistic. We live in a society, and we may live in this society forever, where men have the power. And as long as that is happening, men have the leverage. So women need to understand, in order to get what you want, you can be a martyr and sacrifice yourself for the progress of women, but you are not going to be happy. And so we need to understand these romance movies that are pushing, these R&B songs that are pandering to women, these romantic movies that are pandering to women. This is not reality. And if men get, by your moms, brainwashed to believe these things, women are brainwashed to believe these things, we are going to continue to run into a lot of bullshit when it comes to relationships. And I think our older generation, pre-feminism, yes, they were more likely to get taken advantage of, which is fucked up, and that's the men's responsibility to not abuse power. But they knew kind of what the chess pieces were, and in order to be happy, these are the things that we need to stick with. If you want, men, in my opinion, are polygamous by nature, polyamorous by nature. That's our physical state, I believe. This is just, again, talking about nature of reproduction. We're trying to spread our seed. Women are trying to receive seeds. They're okay with receiving one seed, but men are out there spreading their seed everywhere. If you want your man to be monogamous, you have to understand, for example, that you're going to have him go against his nature. He's going to be providing for you. He's going to be loving you. I lived a monogamous life for a while, and I was getting a lot of bullshit from my wife. And that's where nice guys finish last comes from. It's like we have men that believe all this stuff, and they're trying to live this, but their nature's going against them. And then instead of a woman making it easier for a man to fight against his nature, you have women making it harder because they want quote-unquote equal rights. You got men 100% fighting financially, but then women wanting careers. They don't want to take care of them. So you have men like, I know what I started feeling was, I'm taking care of her, I'm emotionally supporting her, I'm doing 50-50 with the kids, 50-50 with the laundry, 50-50, but I'm not getting my needs met. I just get a lot of disrespect. And here's the thing that men need to understand. That's our fault. Like, we're letting it happen. And I think that's the problem, is every man eventually comes to that point where they're like, I don't have to take this. What is this worth? Just a bunch of bullshit to be a good man. And then that's when they fuck up. That's when they cheat. That's when they hurt their women, things like that. That's when they act up. And so I'm just talking in general. This is why we need to kind of understand masculinity, understand femininity, be okay that they're different, understand how things are attracted, how we're attracted to each other, play with that, and then give each other the rights, not that we feel we deserve, but the rights that we deserve, and are fair and are going to make that best serve us. So that's my part one. I'll be continuing sort of this series. Comments, questions, feel free to put it below. Otherwise, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later.